Hello guys, hope you're all doing well. So BF5 has officially been out for 2 weeks now. Of course it's longer than that if you include the early access from Origin Premier. But after those 2 weeks, BF5 is entering into its first Tides of War chapter and having its first big patch. Sadly, let's just get this out of the way first, it's been delayed. It was supposed to be released today on the 4th, but as of right now, there's no ETA of when it will release, but we've been assured that it will be soon. That being said, last night, Battlefield did a stream and we got some cool gameplay and updates and changes that are coming with this patch. Even though the update isn't out, we now know most of what's going to be in it. So let's start by covering Tides of War. This is Battlefield's live service. It will provide a constant flow of content for the game for free, including maps, cosmetics, weapon skins, assignments. The first chapter starts when the patch releases and it includes the practice range, a new map called Panzerstorm, vehicle customizations and a brand new single player war story called The Last Tiger. So they showed all of this stuff last night and I'm just going to run you guys through it and give some first impressions and reactions because I found it a little bit underwhelming. Now, the single player mission The Last Tiger could be one of the best ones in the game, and it follows a German Tiger tank crew in the final days of World War II and touches on how they begin to question the ideology of what got them to this current point. Are we the bad guys? The new multiplayer map, on the other hand, is a huge vehicle-centric affair called Panzerstorm, and I got a chance to play it at a capture event, and I'm just not a big fan of it, to be honest. When DICE say it's a vehicle map, they aren't kidding. For the most part, the map is just a large field or group of fields, and I just don't find that fun. It's big and open, so if you like vehicles, you're probably gonna enjoy this one, but if you like infantry, most of the people in the game, then perhaps not so much. If your team owns the few infantry points, then you're probably going to enjoy it a bit more. There were like 3 points in the middle of the map here, but if you're the team that has to get to those points across open terrain from your gimme flags, then you're just going to be running across open fields and probably dying when you get there. So it doesn't look like a fun map to me, to be honest. I've played it and I didn't enjoy it. I don't think most people will either, but the story behind the map is that it's a depiction of the German blitzkrieg pushing across Belgium. When it comes to the practice range, well, this is something that players have asked for, and it gives you the option to jump into a practice level on your own or with friends, more on that in a second, to test out weapons, learn recoil, practice sniping at a distance or on moving targets. It just offers players a way to learn some of the mechanics of the game. And the idea of that, having a Battlefield offline sandbox with all the toys, is fantastic. Unfortunately, I think what we've actually got here to start with, they might improve it, is a bit of a missed opportunity. So it's set on Hamada. Players can pick up weapons and try their hand at a twitch shooting game where targets pop up in front of you and you've got to shoot them as fast as possible, or grab a sniper and take on targets at long range at the shooting range, or practice vehicles. So there's an airstrip where you can jump into a Spitfire or a Stuka, I think that's all they had for now, and learn the basics of piloting while shooting at AI planes. The planes don't attack you or do anything interesting, they just fly in a big group together. There are tanks too, but no enemy tanks apart from if you were to turn friendly fire on and have your friends in a tank. Now there was this weird moment on stream though where they got into a transport vehicle, you know, one of the jeeps, and they were doing this time trial hitting targets on the way, and I just thought to myself, why is that in there? What's the point of this? It's a vehicle that players just use to get from point A to point B and then jump out of it. It's not difficult to use and no one really needs to practice how to use a transport vehicle like this. That part seems very odd to me. And generally, I thought that a lot of the elements in it were overcomplicated. For example, to change the difficulty of a target range, you actually had to go to a physical button and hold E and then cycle through easy, medium, hard. Why not have an overlay or a menu or just something simple like that? It seemed very convoluted to me. Now, the concept of the training range is a good one, and I hope that over the next few months it can be perhaps a bit more refined and fleshed out. And I just feel like it's a big missed opportunity. They should have made a level from scratch and really let you pick whatever you wanted to pick, spawn in certain vehicles. I didn't even see if you could use gadgets. It's not like you pick your kit by the looks of it. You have to go over to a button and then press that and then you can select any weapon you want, but I didn't see the gadgets there. Hopefully the gadgets are in. And yes, you can invite a couple of people, so maybe it could be good for doing a bit of testing, but I think a lot more thought could have gone into this and it could have been a way better experience. At the moment, I see people maybe trying this out once or twice and that's it. For the vehicle section, what would have been really useful is if you spawned in a tiger tank, or you could pick whatever tank you wanted, and then on the field in front of you were tanks moving forward, backward, left and right, diagonal, at certain distances away from you, and then you could practice hitting your shots with a tiger tank or something. That would have been much more useful than driving around and hitting checkpoints in a transport vehicle. But there you go, it's the first iteration of it, and I'm hoping that they can improve on it. Now moving on to vehicle customization, and this is something that players expected at launch, but it was delayed. Now though, players can jump in and unlock a few variants of skins for their vehicles, and when I say skins, I mean skins. Most of them were just camos. There were a couple of cool ones that physically changed the look of the tank that I liked. For planes, you can get a skin body, so a design that covers the whole plane, as well as some nose art, and easily the best nose art is the shark. But there are all sorts from hippos, bulls, there are some cool options in there. But the best skin for the tanks is honestly the last tiger, which you get from playing the single player mission, and it changes the whole look of the tank. It puts some netting on the top, some camouflage, some logs on the side, and interestingly, that's the one that's free. So while you can get that one for playing through the single player mission, the last tiger, and completing the challenge or whatever it is, the rest are purchasable with company coin, and some of them were crazy expensive, ranging from 8,000 to 20,000 company coin. Now that seems completely bonkers to me, way over the top, unless they start adding in more ways to earn it. We shall see. Of course, they've just announced their virtual currency, which you can buy with real money, and I just want to iterate, there's nothing here that you can buy that is pay to win. These are just all cosmetic things. And you can earn company coin, of course, by playing the game and doing assignments, but 20,000 for a skin that just doesn't look that good, I think that's a bit too excessive, and I don't really see people paying real money for that kind of stuff. Stuff like the last tiger one, where it physically changes the way your tank looks. Yeah, people might pay real money for that and be prepared to grind 20,000 company coin to get it, but most of the other ones that are just skins, I don't know, I just don't see people doing it. There wasn't much there, to be honest, in terms of vehicle customization. Yes, this could change, and maybe DICE will change the price of that 20,000 company coin. It's a flexible rate, of course, they can move it up and down, but I don't know, I just felt quite underwhelmed with this. So as well as those features we've just talked about, we are going to get some new weapons. Before we get into the weapons themselves though, let's look at how you obtain them. This time around there are weekly assignments that are going live over the course of the first Tides of War chapter. The first weekly assignment is for the VKO, or the Vickers machine gun, and these assignments have you doing weekly themed activities. So the first week is attrition and fortifications, and there are multiple assignment paths that you can choose depending on what classes you play. So there are a few ways that you can complete the whole assignment. Finish it though and you'll get access to the gun. But there was some confusion as to what happens if you don't complete the assignment for the weapon during the week. On the stream they seem to allude that if you don't get it in the week that the assignment is live, you won't be able to get it until they add another way of getting it. So what does that mean? You have to wait weeks? What if you go on holiday or something? If there's content in the game, let people access it whenever. But Eric Ortman, who's a dev on Twitter, said that if you don't manage to get it done, you can still get it by playing the game. So I'm really hoping that they can clear that one up, because I don't want there to be a situation where if you miss that weekly assignment because you're on holiday or you just don't manage to get it done in time, you're not going to be able to get that new gun for what, like another 4 or 5 weeks or something. That would suck, and I hope that they're not going in that direction. So as I mentioned, the first gun up for grabs will be the Vickers K machine gun. This is another MMG, so it operates just like the MG42 and MG34, whereby you have to be prone or utilising the bipod to fully aim down the sight with it. It's a pretty unique looking weapon. It was originally designed for use in aircraft, but was later adopted for land use during the Second World War. Other weapons that were mentioned as weekly rewards were the Selbstlader 1906 and the AG42. The Selbstlader 1906, of course, was a weapon available in BF1, but I expect this version will feel and play very differently. The AG42, on the other hand, is a Swedish semi-auto rifle. One weapon that we saw in the weapon screen but the stream didn't directly mention though was the Ribeyrol 1918. This of course was an assault weapon in BF1. No mention was made of this weapon being available in the weekly assignments, but it was definitely visible, so fingers crossed. I just don't see many people getting excited over the Ribe though, seeing as we've already used it in BF1, but whatever. When it comes to the actual patch though, there is a huge list of bug fixes and a ton of gameplay changes, quality of life stuff, and it's going to mix up the weapon balance too, so let's get stuck into it. One of the biggest issues that players have with BF5 is how fast they die. This leads us to two terms that you may have heard of, time to kill and time to death. They seem like they would be exactly the same thing, but they're not. Time to kill is the time it should take to kill an opponent depending on your weapon, distance, and of course where you hit them. And time to death is slightly different because it involves with how fast you die, or at least the perception of it. Currently in BF5 it feels like you die extremely fast, sometimes in one frame, and it seems that it's got something to do with you taking multiple bullets of damage all together in one network packet rather than spread out like they should be. And this is something that DICE are looking at currently, and it's something that they hope to fix and improve as soon as possible. And it's the reason that you might often feel like you're dying extremely fast. This patch also gives us our first balance changes to the game. Part of this weapon pass has made some changes to some of the more popular weapons in the game and some of the less popular ones. Let's take SMGs and medic class. This is a hot topic right now because most players don't enjoy playing medic because they find the weapons to be quite weak. I'm sure that there are players who've had no issue with them, but it's definitely an overall feeling that the SMGs need some love. Well, in this patch they've got it. SMGs for the medic class have had their 5-hit kill range increased to 30 meters up from 25. The thought process there is of course to give those medic weapons a bit more range to compete at. They've also had their muzzle velocity increased and their sustained fire accuracy has been improved. All in all, this should make the SMGs more viable. There has also been an increase in range for 4-hit kills from all assault rifles, LMGs, MMGs and SMGs to 10 meters from 9, and this was designed to make close quarter damage more reliable. The KE7 has also had a bit of a nerf, and it's had an increase in horizontal recoil, and the recoil buffer specialization has been removed, so it's got a bit more recoil and no longer the specialization that reduces it. And its reload is also now slightly longer. Same for the M1907, which also has had its horizontal recoil increased. In my opinion, it was safe to say that the KE7 and the M1907 were easily the best guns in the game, so maybe they did need a bit of a nerf. Speaking of balance then, in this update you're now going to be able to duck down when you're in tank turrets. No more will you be a sitting duck, but even more, you can blind fire while you're down there. But from what I saw on the stream last night, it looks like you can do this with 0 penalty to accuracy. And I need to see this in-game first and test it, but it seems like that this could be abused. I think in time it may be worth thinking about giving the turret a bit more inaccuracy when you're ducked down, because on the stream it happened twice. It looked like the guy just aimed at someone, ducked, held mouse 1, and they died within a split second. So I'm hoping that there is a big accuracy penalty there. Let's see how it plays out in game. And in other balance, the Frontlines game mode is changing somewhat too. No longer will Frontlines have physical bombs, but instead it will revert to the old BF1 system of MCOMs and just things that you have to run up to and explode. I think this will please a lot of players. As well as that, Airborne is getting a small change to the visibility of the bomb carrier. The icon above the player's head will no longer be permanently visible, which is good, and instead only for a moment when they pick up the bomb for the first time. These are good changes when you consider the direction the game has tried to go when it comes to spotting. Sadly, there's no fix yet for the bug where you become spotted on the minimap when you get a kill. Oh, and you know when you automatically spawn in when the round starts, but you may have gone AFK for a quick break? Well, that will no longer happen. Moving on, something else they talked about on the stream. One of the biggest issues with the game right now is the bombers. Have they been changed? Well, thankfully, yes. The planes have had tweaks to ammo that require them to go to resupply stations more often, but the most important change is to the bombers themselves. And the Ju-88, which was the biggest problem, now only carries one 1,000 kilo bomb and has a reduced rate of fire when dropping the 16 50 kilo bombs, and they were the biggest problem for infantry. So hopefully that means that the bombs will have a much larger spread when hitting the ground and should reduce some of the impact of that particular bomber loadout. Fingers crossed. So wrapping things up, there have also been some improvements to the revive mechanic. There were a few bugs in that area that have been ironed out in terms of players not getting full control after the animation had finished and players being flung across the map once they were revived. It happened once to me on Fiel and I think I just went flying off the map. So these have been addressed in this patch. Don't expect to see dragging in the game anytime soon though, as DICE have said that they're establishing the feasibility of that mechanic. So wording on that has changed a bit now. Maybe we'll never get to see that in the game. I hope that we do though. Something else that has been a big issue since release, especially for those players who got access on the 9th, is the accrual of company coin. Company coin is used in game to purchase weapon and vehicle specializations as well as cosmetic items. The problem was that after you reached max rank you stopped earning it, and well, rank 50 doesn't take all that long to reach. The only other way to gain it is via the daily assignments, which you can get up to 300 coin from, or the regular assignments. So once players had done all of those, which lots of players had, this meant that they'd no longer got company coin left to finish all of their vehicle or weapon specializations. In fact, if you bought one of the cosmetic sets from the armory, this meant that you were left without being able to spec out most of your weapons or vehicles. Clearly a huge oversight and not intended, but DICE say that they fixed players not earning company coin now when they're at the max rank, and they're also working on a way to retroactively reward company coin for the hours that have been played at max rank already. That would be a big plus for players who've been playing now for the best part of a month without being able to make any more company coin. And finally, are you sick of having to go into each individual skin element to apply it? Well, in this update you can hit apply all to your weapon skin. Very useful. Sadly though, syncing loadouts across factions is not in the game just yet, but it is being looked into. And there have also been some improvements made to spectator mode as well, and the conquest catch-up mechanic wasn't quite working as intended, so it's been tweaked to only really come into effect when games are much further apart. And this mechanic boosts a losing team's capture rate of flags to try and give them a chance to get back into the game, and if you've played Conquest you'll have seen that it was way too aggressive. So now if you've got a big lead and the team isn't really fighting to come back, then you're going to maintain that lead pretty easily. And that's most of what we got last night. The first chapter is going to last for 4 weeks. For me, it seems a bit of a letdown, and I understand that this is the first of the free content packs, but it just feels so light and rushed to me. I'll play through The Last Tiger. I'm guessing that'll be like 40 minutes or something. The practice range, maybe I'll mess around on it a bit, but never again. And the new Panzerstorm map, well, like I said, I've played it. I didn't really enjoy it, and I don't think most Battlefield players will either. So really for me, I'll be looking forward to the next content drop in the new year. Hopefully there's a bit more meat on the bone there. And then of course we've got Firestorm starting in March, and I'm hoping that that's going to be a strong addition to the game. We'll see. The biggest letdown for me though really is the practice range. I think they could have done a lot more with this, done it properly, created a new level, and really thought about creating a Battlefield sandbox that's intuitive to use and people want to get in there, play with their friends and just have some fun. But at the moment, the current implementation, I just don't see it being played that much, and I think that's a shame. They had a big opportunity here to make something cool and new for the franchise. Maybe do it like PUBG did. I think they did it perfectly, but we're not going to get that for now. Maybe in the future, we'll see. And that's all guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you didn't, a dislike. Subscribe if you want to see more. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.